Have you ever felt that sudden, sharp tightness in your chest the moment someone says, "I'm in a neighborhood, mind if I drop by?" You smile, you check your schedule, and you say, "Yeah, sure, come on over." But inside, your brain is whispering a completely different story. It's saying, "There goes my peace." If you've ever experienced that internal groan, even when the person visiting is someone you genuinely like, trust me, you are not alone. There is a deep, fascinating psychology behind why some of us find hosting guests to be an exhausting ordeal rather than a social highlight. For many people, the home is a social hub. It's a place for laughter, shared meals, and high energy. But for others, home is something far more sacred. It is the only place on earth where the mask finally comes off. It's the place where your breathing slows down, your shoulders drop, and the world stops demanding things from you. When someone enters that space, even a best friend or a close relative, the fundamental frequency of the room shifts. The air changes, the silence is broken, and a gentle tension creeps in. This isn't because you dislike your guest, it's because your sanctuary has been disturbed. Psychologically, those who feel this way often have a high level of what is known as territorial comfort. To these individuals, a home isn't just a building or a collection of furniture. It is an emotional reset button. Every sound, every object, and every routine within those four walls is something they control. This environment is curated specifically to help them regulate their emotions. When a guest arrives, the mind perceives it like a calm pond someone has just dropped a pebble into. Nothing inherently bad has happened, but the ripples change the entire surface. The environment is no longer predictable, and for a sensitive mind, that lack of predictability triggers a low-level alert state. Another major factor is the concept of social performance. Many of us spend our workdays being on. We are polite, we are aware of social cues, and we're constantly managing how others perceive us. Home is the one place where we get to stop performing. However, the moment a guest walks through the door, the mask goes right back on. Even if you're just sitting on the couch in your pajamas with a friend, a part of your brain is still monitoring the guest's comfort. Are they hungry? Are they bored? Is the house clean enough? That emotional effort is like a battery draining in the background. You might be having a great conversation, but you're still losing social percentage every minute they stay. There's a secret that many of the warmest, most caring people never admit. The moment of greatest joy isn't when the guest arrives, but the moment the door closes behind them. That rush of relief isn't born out of rudeness or being antisocial. It's because for many, silence feels like oxygen. Psychologists suggest that people who feel this way often have very strong emotional boundaries. They don't necessarily want to push people away from their lives. They simply want to protect the specific spaces that help them stay whole. This is why you might notice that these people are the first to suggest meeting at a cafe, a park, or a restaurant. They thrive in neutral territory because in those places, their inner world remains safely theirs. They can engage, laugh, and be present, knowing that when the social interaction is over, they can retreat to a clean space that hasn't been altered by outside energy. For some, this preference for solitude at home is rooted in childhood experiences. If you grew up in a household where guests meant company manners, high-stress cleaning, or unpredictable chaos, your brain may have been wired to associate visitors with a loss of safety. As an adult, even a planned and pleasant visit can activate those old neural pathways of tension. Your body is reacting to a perceived threat to your routine, even when your mind knows there's nothing to fear. It is also worth looking at the intrusion of routine. Most people who dislike guests are people of habit. They have a specific way they like to wind down, a specific time they eat, and a specific spot where they sit. A guest, by nature, disrupts every single one of those micro-habits. You can't just go to bed when you're tired. You can't just scroll on your phone in silence for an hour. You can't follow your nightly ritual. For someone who relies on routine to manage anxiety or stress, this disruption feels much heavier than it does for a more spontaneous person. There's also the host's burden. Some people are naturally high in empathy and agreeableness in personality tests. These individuals feel a heightened sense of responsibility for everyone else's emotional state. If a guest is in their home, they feel they must be serving in some capacity, not just providing food or drink, but providing the right atmosphere.
They are constantly scanning the guest for signs of discomfort. This hypervigilance is exhausting. It makes it impossible to actually relax, turning a hangout into a job. Modern society often tells us that being a good person means having an open-door policy. We are taught that hospitality is a virtue, and that wanting to be alone is a sign of being cold or stuck up. But the psychological reality is much more nuanced. There is absolutely nothing wrong with guarding your space. In a world that is louder and more connected than ever before, the ability to say no to an invitation or to prefer meeting on neutral ground is a vital tool for mental health. You can love people deeply and still crave absolute solitude. You can be a dedicated friend and still protect the peace of your home with everything you've got. Ultimately, understanding this about yourself or about someone you love is about recognizing different needs for recharging. Some people recharge by plugging into a crowd, others by unplugging from the world. For the latter, the home is the charging station. If you let someone else into the station while you're trying to use it, the connection becomes weak. So the next time you feel that wave of guilt because you'd rather stay in your quiet living room than host a dinner party, remember that it's not a character flaw. It's a sign that you value your mental clarity and your emotional sanctuary. Your home is the one place where you don't have to be anything for anyone. It's okay to keep it that way. Whether it's a quiet room, a familiar chair, or just the gentle hum of your own thoughts, your peace is worth protecting. Understanding the why behind your discomfort doesn't just lower your guilt, it allows you to build a life where you can enjoy people on your own terms without losing yourself in the process.